So believe it or not, a 2-bed, 1-bath in Hamilton with that type of square footage is going to yield you about $2,000 a month. There's a lot of experienced, we'll call them landlords in Hamilton, that are just in a spot where they're offloading properties that they've owned for decades and decades. As soon as you see shovels and grounds from these big builders and these small cities, you almost got to chase them into these smaller cities, because they're looking at that parcel of land for years, and their foresight is usually pretty spot on.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and today we're talking again about Hamilton with Abdellah. Hey, Abdellah, how's it going?
Not too bad, Matt. Glad to be back here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back on. So I know you've put together a presentation for us, but before we jump into it, just wanted to kind of share with the audience some of the highlight reel right now. So first things first, I think a lot of investors are wondering what's going on this summer, because last summer was such an anomaly for investors. So we're definitely going to hit upon that, guys. As well, we've actually got some recent deals that Abdellah and his clients have done, which I think are fantastic. We've also got a live listing right now, so a recent listing. We teased it on the last show, but we've got it here today. And then finally, we've also got a true off-market deal. And for those of you looking to jump into maybe a bigger portfolio or a bigger project, this is going to be a 14-unit off-market deal. I know you guys love off-market deals and the fact that it's a larger building. So really excited to cover all that and more, as well as just finding out what's going on in the Hamilton market. So should we just jump into it?
Yeah, let's do it, Matt.
Awesome. So I've got your slides up here now. And yeah, what's going on in your corner of the world?
Yeah, thanks again, Matt. Always exciting jumping on here with you. So yeah, guys, so we'll start here as we did last time with the freehold stats here in Hamilton. So I know we asked you guys kind of, where you thought July was going to end. Median price, you can see there, got to $658.5. Obviously, a gigantic jump from last year, which is going to be the case most of the time in Hamilton. So, but yeah, we got the August one here. If we want to get some guesses out there to kind of start building a trend.
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear from the audience. So guys, jump in the comments. Let us know what you guys think. And just kind of looking at it quick, I think the first question is, are we trending down from kind of our March and May top, or is this the summer and everyone's just kind of enjoying actually a little bit of freedom, going to the cottage and things like that?
Yeah. So did you want me to answer that?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's August is already difficult enough to kind of read when there is a balanced market. This one is just, honestly, all the distress stuff, all the kind of the Hamilton Mountain opportunities are still going crazy. The 2-unit properties are still getting a lot of action, but now you're basically, the buyer pool is, scaled right back with everybody, up in the Muskokas and enjoying themselves before, God forbid, we have a fourth lockdown here.
Yeah.
So, kind of it's a wild situation with the amount of inventory and the amount of buyers that are, despite the interest rates, right? So we're all kind of learning about it kind of day by day here, to be honest. So, I get people on the regular that ask me, where do you think it's going to go? But I think sellers right now, definitely, whether single family or multi-unit, you have this window for sure until kind of we get into the September days here, that there's a small window here that really anything can happen, but it's going to be a seller, so no doubt. Yeah, so some stats here year over year from July 2020 to 2021. I want to maybe highlight the right side of that column under the difference.
Yeah.
you can imagine the only two numbers that aren't going to have a negative in front of them are anything to do with the price point, obviously. So, sales activity down considerable amount, kind of playing off what we just kind of chatted about in terms of finite amount of buyers, finite amount of inventory. Even the dollar volume is down substantially, 22% there. You can see in that kind of bottom blurb. As well, new listings, obviously, nobody really, nobody has listing the property at the forefront of their mind, essentially. And kind of obviously, look, it's kind of all playing off each other. Down huge, active listings down huge, absorption rate essentially the months of inventory. So that basically what that is if you take a snapshot of the amount of listings that we have in the market right now, how long would it take to sell everything? That number is usually expressed in weeks, but this they do it with the month kind of approach here. So you can see, it's going to take obviously a bit less time because of the lack of inventory. Average price is the only inverted stat there, as with the median. Obviously, we know what we've dealt with year over year here in the city. And then average days on market, taking a bit quick. It's a bit quicker to kind of sell, but I mean, taking the entire kind of the entire market as a whole there in the month of July. So. There's nothing really surprising here, especially with, and we're seeing in August as well. So I would imagine those stats are going to be very similar when they come out in a few weeks. So that's basically kind of the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing that with us. And I guess just looking at this, we often talk on the buyer side because we've got a lot of, investors that are aggressively looking to grow their portfolio. Exactly. But I'm curious, looking at some of these stats, some of the clients or investors that you've known for a handful of years or longer, are they starting to get tempted to list their properties when they see how tight inventory is? Or do you find a lot of people are scared that, if I sell this, what am I going to go do with the money?
Yeah. It's a kind of, you can make a case for it on both sides. It's really at what stage of the ownership are you at, right? Are you just kind of ready to relinquish and cash out? I don't have many investors that are looking on load here, right? Everybody just kind of hanging tight, letting that equity grow. A lot of refinances out there still. So I would say, the majority are hanging tight for sure on a personal level in terms of the investors that I deal with here. So that's how I would. That's where the sentiment is.
Yeah.
The board. No, nobody's calling me at 3 a.m. here to list the property and trying to reap the benefits of the market. So, but on the single family side, different. That's a different kind of different course altogether. So guys, just jumping into. So we did highlight this, as Matt mentioned last time before I hit the market. So now we are on the market. So just to give you kind of an overview on the property. So this is in the lower west end of Hamilton. You can see there beside municipality neighborhood. It's in Strathcona. So steps, for all the Hamiltonians out there, steps to Lock Street, then the 403 there right off of Dundurn. Pardon me there. Arguably the nicest lower West Hamilton kind of area. This one is super unique because of what you're allowed to do here, essentially. So it's got the perfect zoning for the laneway housing, which I'm sure
it's a hot topic. Yeah.
Unless you've been hiding on or living under a rock, you've heard about it and kind of how it's kind of making its way into Hamilton and passing the proper bill to kind of just allow people, like, we want density in the city, right? It's not a secret, right? On the conversion Hamilton can be an absolute nightmare most of the time in terms of the permit length, but that's all in the planning prior, leading up to the purchase and surrounding that. So this one's got the exact designation to possibly convert the giant garage in the back, right? So it's already serviced. It's already got hydro running to it. They're all obviously bylaws, which we can definitely help you out with as well. They're about, 5-6 pages long, but now we have, kind of a set bylaw that, you could be like, okay, I have the right zoning, just like with anything, right?
Yeah.
Single family to duplex. Now it's like, okay, I have the right zoning. Now can it meet bylaw, and what kind of minor variances or hoops I have to jump through to kind of get this going? So it's still fresh in Hamilton, but I mean, this one with the area, the type of rents you're going to command, to have the opportunity to convert that into a laneway house or a garden suite or whatever you want to call it. It's a triple threat, and the fact that the main structure itself can easily be converted to a legal duplex, right? That's a foregone conclusion. You'll need possibly a minor variance on the parking, but there is one in the rear off the laneway, so really will come down to how the planning is done. But I mean, yeah, in terms of converting this main structure and the laneway house, you're basically looking at, everything goes perfectly, three solid units there. And then this is basically the projected rents we have here are with the renovation. Doesn't need, a whole heck of a lot. We don't have any structural issues, anything here. It's purely cosmetic in terms of, really commanding those high-end rents. So that's kind of the projections that we came up with. The main floor and the lower level are a combined unit. There is kind of like this, second living space on the main floor that you can convert into a second bed. It's got a rear entrance, so, egress is every which way. Right. And then we kind of projected the laneway house like a kind of like a little bit of a loft. It's a fair size, really depends on how well you're going to do it. You can get up to, 1,200, we'll say 1,000 and be safe, but in any sense, a huge addition to monthly gross there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure if I caught it. Did you mention, is the property vacant right now, or is vacant possession an option?
Yeah, vacant possession is an option. There is a tenant there currently in the second floor / loft space, which is the 3-bed, 1-bath as it stands. They're currently paying $1,500 plus hydro. So even a house hack, I know that's it's a more well-known term now. The kind of living rent situation, you could absorb the tenant at $1,500 plus hydro, kind of do your renovations on the main floor and basement, and turn that into a suitable 2-bed unit for your own use. And then you still have obviously the garage in the back for, even your own use, storage, or rent it out kind of to a third party. So ton of opportunity here. It's just really a great opportunity. And these are very rare, especially in an area like lower west there in Strathcona, that's going to command, the highest rents in the city, aside from the Hamilton Mountain. So just a couple recent deals here that we just got under contract with a recent client. This one's closing at the end of September. So just give you a little bit of background story, and then coupled with that, this actually will be essentially an off-market deal that will be coming up through our avenue as a turnkey legal triplex. So we did secure this one for our client through an assignment. Just kind of through networking, colleague of mine at another brokerage kind of brought it to the forefront, just right place at the right time sometimes. That's just how it happens. Obviously, you got to build those connections over time. But so we ended up purchasing on an assignment at 610. Got a projected renovation budget of about 200, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more. We still got to get in there and get a true quote. This one will need kind of a deeper reno in a sense where foundation, all that structurally is very, very sound, but you do need new windows here, converting boiler to forced air HVAC systems. So some deeper rooted renovations for sure, but the numbers will all still work out handsomely. So this one has an E zoning. So very broad kind of allowances under that zoning. It's already a legal duplex as is. So that main floor is a 2-bed, 1-bath. And then that upper floor that you see there off the balcony is a 2-bed, 1-bath as well. But then you can see the dormer there. That's like a 350 square foot loft space that actually they don't use. So
Interesting.
Yeah. So it just used for like storage and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
The great space, great head height. And we're basically, when the client's going to obviously attach the loft space to that second floor unit and essentially turn it into a 3-bed, 1-bath, 3-bed, 2-bath, really depending on what we come up with on the renovation side. So just gonna kind of give you a brief overview on the numbers. So this one's in Stinson, the Stinson neighborhood. Still a lot of opportunity in the neighborhood. It's not fully kind of there yet. Still some gritty streets, we'll say, for lack of a better term. But anything, Stinson and neighboring St. Clair, for all you Hamiltonians that are watching, rents are still very strong here, as well. The ARV they're all well into the 7 figures now, right? You got a legal duplex with a third unit, a legal triplex. They're all bare minimum 1 million, really depending. They're gonna do some really high end finishes here, and then the other kind of really cool thing about it is it works perfectly as a burr and a flip.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic to see. Yeah. And I just kind of want to jump in here, Abdellah, because I think you kind of glossed over a really important highlight that I want to highlight for everyone at home that was maybe watching, but maybe they weren't paying a lot of attention. The fact that you're a realtor that understands how to navigate potential assignments or, off-market deals, that's wildly valuable to the average investor, particularly in these hot markets. So I just props to you, but really wanted to highlight that for anyone watching at home. If you're looking to invest in Hamilton, well, I think you know who to reach out to as your realtor. But again, even if you guys aren't looking to buy in Hamilton, but you're looking just whatever your local market is, and you're looking for a great realtor, that's a great question to explore with them. Have they ever dealt with something like that before? Are they familiar with the concept? Because a lot of less experienced realtors, let's call them, whenever something is outside their comfort zone, they kind of turtle. And there's like, I'm not even sure if you can do that. How's that work? And so I just really wanted to give you props because, again, the second part to that statement you had related to, it takes a while to build up these relationships and to really get dialed into that network. And that's 100% true as well, that, a realtor that's been living and breathing investment properties in a given city for an extended period of time, they're going to have a much more diverse and deep network than someone that just moved to town, just became a realtor, just decided to start working with investors. So just really wanted to highlight that before we potentially move on to the next property. Yeah,
no, Matty, I appreciate that, man. But it's just assignments aren't, I'm sure they're not the most straightforward kind of approach here. But it just takes a lot of transparency and kind of just, like I said, more planning. Obviously, financing gets tricky here as well because of the lenders going off the original agreement of purchase and sale as opposed to the purchase price on the assignment. Obviously, you got to explain to people that you're coming up with that spread unless you're using an alternative lender or a private lender, which will just kind of honor the purchase price less deposit. So I do appreciate that. These are a bit of a wild ride sometimes. They can be highly lucrative, and they're super happy. Can't wait to see how they transform this, and should become available near the end of the year, guys. And we'll kind of re-highlight it down the road if obviously anybody's looking for kind of a turnkey cash flow and legal triplex as well. So jumping into another kind of recent deal. This more so on the kind of more novice type of approach in terms of a first investment. Still going to be a great one. So this one we purchased for $400,000. We were in competition, but aggressively priced, and all parties were happy. So if we're taking the specs here, 680 square feet, 2-bed, 1-bath. Bones are in great shape. Roof's fine. Windows are more than salvageable. This one, a little bit of exterior work. We're going to look into, the right side of that lawn there to cut a curb, kind of just to keep it in line with how the neighbors are doing it. So looking into that, obviously to create more value on the finance and on the rent. So this one is, 95% purely cosmetic. We're estimating 40 to 50 grand, do a really nice job, get it, as modern as possible, some exterior paint with some light grays and black trim, like everybody likes these days. So this is in Crown Point, which is now we're on the far east end of Hamilton, which just doesn't have the same opportunities in terms of rents, but it is far less expensive in that sense. Right near Ottawa Street North, which is a revitalizing street. A lot of new businesses and whatnot driving into it. A huge influx of buyers that we've seen in the last few years. We have a couple personal investment properties in the area that we bought here 5-6 years ago, and definitely no regrets there. But nice, like this is more so just to highlight as well the single family rental approach. So believe it or not, a 2-bed, 1-bath in Hamilton with that type of square footage is going to yield you about $2,000 a month.
Plus utilities.
Yeah, plus utilities, give or take a couple of bucks, which if you would have told me this 6 years ago when we bought in Crown Point, I would have told you you're absolutely but it's just where it's just the case and the high demand of rental units here in the city. But again, it's pretty straightforward. 400 on the way in, 40, call it 50 on the reno. ARV is, and that's not a stretch, mid fives for sure. And you're getting all your money out here in this particular deal. Loss in conventional loan, 80% loan to value. But this just again to highlight that somebody looking to get to Hamilton, these are truly available, especially with the bungalows that just hold premium and hold reign over any other type of property, especially ones that have the full height basements that can get duplex. But there really is still a ton and this one was on the market, so it's we didn't have to go searching high and low. Bought once, offered on presentation date, and we're successful, which was nice.
Yeah, and so obviously a key success factor here is I'm guessing you guys were able to go in clean on your offer and just really move fast.
Exactly. Yeah. So no conditions. The closing date worked for both parties. It was just one of those kind of really good interactions with the other agent. Everybody saw eye to eye, and we were happy to pull the trigger and not involve any financing or inspection clauses to kind of put us behind the 8 ball here. So it all worked out.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate you sharing this deal with us.
Yeah, my pleasure, Matt. So we'll jump into this is the big boy that Matt mentioned here. So for all you kind of commercial-oriented investors, so this one's in the St. Clair neighborhood. I think you've heard me say that a few times now. It's pressed up against the escarpment there. So very, very highly sought after, whether investment or single family. So this one, you can see their top, to my top left under Hamilton. So 6 houses or studios. You got 3 1-bedroom units and one 2-bed. And then if you're going down kind of the monthly column here, I don't care if you've been investing for 30 years or 0 years. I think those rents have a huge lift. And obviously it needs this one's it's a big project. So it's for the more experienced kind of approaches. You got four commercial units there as well that are retail essentially. And even there's obviously lift there as well with unit 665. If there's any interest, we can kind of dive into the price point here as well. Operating expenses down there, guys, as well. So just to use that vacancy of 2%, which is sincerely the case here in Hamilton. Usually it's 0%, but if you time it out properly. But again, and I touched on this at the end of our last presentation or last conversation, Matt, just to kind of high density opportunities there are here in Hamilton still, despite what people may think. I got to go searching here. So these things are readily available. There's a lot of experienced, we'll call them landlords in Hamilton that are really just in a spot where they're offloading properties that they've owned for decades and decades, right? So, but this one is just, huge opportunity to reposition the asset here and just get that cap rate skyrocketing. Obviously, there's going to be, it's not all lollipops and gumdrops here.
It'll definitely be a big project, I'm sure.
Project. Oh yeah, for sure. And with with coming to terms with the tenants, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows here, unless they're doing something out of the ordinary that doesn't comply with the landlord and tenant board, you really have no leg to stand on. Obviously, some creative ways to kind of get around that. I always recommend, partner yourself up with a paralegal, so you're kind of doing everything by the book and making sure that the landlord and tenant, yourself and the tenants are taken care of as human beings here.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing and highlighting this deal, because I know there's a lot of investors that watch the channel that, they've done a handful of deals. They're starting to think about getting into these bigger projects. And, this is the exact sort of building that 1-2 years ago, I would have jumped on and got into, because without me even understanding the local neighborhood, I know there's so much lift there in those monthly rents. And I imagine that, again, you could probably, one thing that I think a lot of newer investors sometimes overlook is sometimes the cost of, especially with apartment buildings, renovating a unit and taking it from nice to really nice, or taking it from garbage to really nice, isn't that drastically different. So oftentimes the ones with the biggest lift actually have some of the best ROI as well, even though you're going to end up having a big project here. So it's certainly something where you're going to want to make sure you've got your capital, your financing all lined up getting into a project like this. But it's great just to be able to have a glimpse of, what is going on with larger multifamilies in Hamilton.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You hit that right, the nail right on the head there. So it's all about planning, right? You don't jump. I deal with investors that if they see a deal that they really want, then we kind of just tie it up conditionally. You kind of do our due diligence from there. But I could have said it better myself. And it's all it takes. Just simple planning. Obviously, the commercial lending world is very different, especially when the asset is, not functioning up to snuff, and all these underperforming assets are usually gonna, make you work in terms of the loan to value. But it's all about the end goal, right? So, and the type of property, right? You don't need to be trying to get 10 vacant units at once, right? You kind of got to chip away at it. Make sure you have some sort of almost a reserve fund as well, right? As you get these vacant units and more money's coming out of your pocket on the carrying side. So it's just simple planning, but on a grander scale for sure. So like we talked about last time too, Matt. Just I'm a big fan of the new build approach, especially if you have the ability to get in on the ground floor and be able to assign it without losing your shirt. Obviously, a lot of factors there, but even on the kind of traditional sense and just closing on it, renting it out for a year, selling it type thing. So, love these just for the exit strategy, capital building. So this one development's not in Hamilton, but the builder is Hamilton based. I'd say they're the biggest builder Hamilton has to offer. Great reputation there. So they've started to kind of kick out to, Brantford, Paris, and surrounding area. So this one is pretty exclusive. I do have my finger on the pulse here with, a block of investors that are looking to dive into it. So here you have a large mix of towns and singles. Just to kind of go off of the info here. So they're going to start signing deals this fall, from what I'm kind of being told, more or less. And then from then on, you're looking at about 1.5 to 2 years for occupancy. This one's so fresh; they haven't even released the the pricing grid and the true deposit structure. So they kind of finalize that at the end before they do the kind of pre-public. And then you're looking at roughly 30 to 60 grand in terms of deposit that's laid out. Usually, you're forking over 10 grand when you sign. You got a 10-day conditional period for your lawyer to review all the docs and go back and forth with the builder's lawyer. And then you would more than likely owe another 10 after you waive that condition. It goes firm and binding. And then they would basically 30, 60, 90, and 120 days out. You sometimes it's 30, 61, and then it jumps to 120. So they're still finalizing all that. And if anybody's ever interested, I'm always happy to follow up. But I'd say the deposit structure is going to be far closer to 60 than it will be to 30. So I mean, if the capital just sitting there and you're looking to make it work in this kind of less risky approach, I would call it, in a city where it's absolutely booming. In Paris, they're really just had a client actually there about 3-4 months ago. But it's quaint, it's building out, big developments going up, and there's a lot of eyes on it. So, but you can tell by the price point too, these things won't be on the smaller side, right? Starting in the 600s. Not overly cheap, but the ARV will definitely be there for you.
Yeah, I appreciate you highlighting this.
The ROI, will say.
Yeah, and just as a FYI for anyone that maybe Paris is kind of a smaller community, but at least, and I don't know it that well, but it's well positioned to essentially be a kind of commuter city as well, right? For Hamilton and kind of the greater Toronto area. But as you mentioned, it is a smaller city, so it also has that slower pace of life kind of feel to it, where if I remember correctly, you got some beautiful downtown stone structures, the river kind of cutting through it. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely picturesque. But to me, it's just, as soon as you see shovels in grounds from these big builders and these small cities, you almost got to chase them into these smaller cities, because they've been kind of looking at that parcel of land for years, and their foresight is usually pretty spot on. So.
Yeah, well, really appreciate you sharing this entire kind of plethora of deals, let's call it, because there was a lot of deals there you laid out. And I know that's what people really love seeing, is being able to kind of have a glimpse of like what is practical in this market, what can actually still be done. And to be honest, I wasn't even sure if you could still buy a house in Hamilton for $400,000.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised.
It's great to see that. And again, I think it's important to highlight that there are some great opportunities always in our own backyard. So if you guys want to reach out to Abdellah or anyone on his team, we're going to have links in the video description down below. Really encourage you guys to reach out. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's so critical that you've got an expert that is experienced, that really not only talks the talk, but can walk the walk. And I mean, if this video didn't showcase that for you guys, I don't know what will. So again, really appreciate you just bringing your expertise and insights and documenting some of the deals on the horizon, as well as some of the deals your clients are currently doing.
Yeah, man, honestly appreciate it, man. And yeah, just love sharing the experiences, and that's kind of the only way you're going to get to that level as a realtor and investor, right? And I'm happy to share info with anybody, even if you're not currently in the market. I'm just happy to do a Zoom call or whatever, and just kind of get the ball rolling and lay out a framework. But yeah, always a pleasure to be on here, Matt. I appreciate it.